Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start by asking you a question. Why do so many people shout about their dreams but whisper when it comes to action? You see, the world is full of talkers, full of people who love to announce what they're going to do tomorrow, next week, next year. But the truth is, success doesn't care about your announcements. It only responds to your actions, and that's why the greatest power you can develop is the power of silence. Work in silence and let your success make the noise. That is not just a phrase, that is a principle of wealth, of influence, and of real life victory. When you stop trying to prove yourself to everyone else and start proving it to yourself, that's when the magic begins. Let me break it down for you. Every time you boast about your plans before the work is done, you invite distraction, you invite doubt. The statue he plans to carve? No. He quietly chisels away day after day, shaping, refining, and perfecting. Only when the sculpture is complete does he reveal it to the world. That is how action works. It is patient, it is deliberate, it is disciplined. The loudest people often accomplish the least, and the quietest people are usually the ones who move mountains. Every great leader, every successful entrepreneur, every world changer you admire understood this principle early in life. Results matter far more than talk. You don't get respect for what you say you will do. You get it for what you actually do. And when you deliver, when your work speaks for itself, that respect is permanent, unshakable, and undeniable. Here's another hook for you. Action creates momentum, and momentum is unstoppable. Talking doesn't. Talking might get you attention for a moment, but it won't move you closer to your goals. Only action, repeated consistently, builds the force necessary to break through obstacles. And let me tell you something else. Action breeds confidence. The more you execute, the more you trust yourself. The more you trust yourself, the bolder your actions become. Words without action, on the other hand, breed frustration. They make you feel busy while leaving you stagnant. They give the illusion of progress while you remain in the same place. You've got to fight against that trap. Think about the people who inspire you the most. What do they do differently? They work while others talk. They grind while others gossip. They execute while others debate. And the results? People can't ignore them. Success becomes the loudest voice in the room, and everyone starts listening. Not because of a speech, not because of a promise, but because of what they accomplished. This is the principle I want you to internalize. Every act of disciplined, focused work adds to your reputation more than 1,000 words ever could. Now, let me give you a reality check. The world loves instant gratification. People want to see progress immediately. But greatness is patient. It grows quietly. It is forged in the shadows of persistent effort. If you want to achieve at the highest level, you have to embrace the power of silent action. Let your work accumulate, let your skills sharpen, and let your results compound. Then, when the world finally sees what you've built, the noise it makes will be undeniable. And you won't have to say a word. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. And the moment you understand that, everything in your life changes. So many people rush to speak, to explain, to justify themselves before the work is done. They want validation before results exist, and they confuse noise with progress. But let me tell you something powerful. Silence is a weapon, a shield, and a secret amplifier of your potential all at once. Working quietly allows you to focus, to protect your energy, and to cultivate power without drawing unnecessary attention. When you learn to operate in silence, you gain a competitive advantage that most people will never understand. The world admires loudness, but it respects results, and the two are not always aligned. While people are busy watching and listening to the noise around them, you can be quietly building the very thing that will make that noise irrelevant. Here's a hook to grab onto. The loudest person in the room is rarely the most productive. Noise draws eyes, but it rarely draws outcomes. Every time you talk too much about your plans, you open yourself to doubt from others and even from yourself. You dilute your energy, scatter your focus, and give people an early opportunity to criticize, discourage, or distract you. But silence protects your vision. It lets you work without interference, without comparison, and without the pressure of immediate recognition. Think of it like a vault. Your ideas, your strategy, and your efforts are the treasure inside. The world does not need to know the combination until you are ready to reveal the value inside. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a chess player silently studying the board, thinking 3, 4 moves ahead. Every move is calculated. Every strategy is deliberate. Now imagine if that same player shouted their strategy across the room, letting their opponent know every thought before the game even begins. How effective would that be? Silence is exactly the same in life and business. When you keep your work under wraps, you gain the advantage of focus, foresight, and preparation. You are free to maneuver without interference. And by the time the world sees your results, it has no choice but to acknowledge your mastery. Here's another hook. Silence allows you to observe. When you talk too much, you miss the subtle cues of opportunity. You miss the openings, the patterns, the lessons hidden in plain sight. By staying quiet, you can watch, learn, and adapt. You gain insights that noisy people will never see because their attention is on themselves, their performance, and their approval. When you act from this position of observant power, every move you make is intentional, every decision strategic, and every result amplified. Your silence becomes your strategy, and your strategy becomes your success. Most people underestimate the power of quiet discipline. They think that if they're not vocal about their effort, no one will notice. But here's the truth. The results you create will speak far louder than any words ever could. Silence is not emptiness, it's preparation, it's focus. It's the soil where greatness grows unseen until it bursts forth and cannot be ignored. The quieter you work, the stronger your impact, because when your results emerge, they do so with a force and clarity that words alone could never achieve. The final hook I want you to feel is this. When you embrace silence as a tool, you step into a level of power that the noisy world cannot touch. Your energy is yours alone. Your work is uncompromised. Your progress is undeniable. And when you finally decide to reveal your results, the world will hear them not as a whisper, not as a claim, but as a statement of authority, excellence, and unstoppable momentum. Results are the loudest voice, and nothing else commands attention the way tangible success does. You can speak, you can promise, you can declare your intentions, but until results appear, the world will remain indifferent. Let me ask you, how many times have you met someone who talks endlessly about their plans yet never achieves them? Their words echo for a moment, but they vanish quickly because they are empty. The marketplace, whether in business, relationships, or personal achievement, does not reward intention, it rewards execution. People respect outcomes, not effort alone. Every achievement is a loudspeaker broadcasting your capability, your discipline, and your mastery, and the louder your results, the fewer explanations you need to give. Here's a hook. Results are undeniable. They don't require justification. They don't need hype or social media posts. A finished project, a successful deal, a transformation in your life speaks with authority. Think about the people you admire most. Are they the ones who spent their lives talking about what they would do? Or are they the ones whose achievements forced everyone to take notice? Results are persuasive. They demand recognition without asking for it. That is why you must focus more on producing than performing. The world cannot ignore what is proven, what is delivered, and what impacts lives. Words fade, opinions change, but results endure. Here's another hook. Results build credibility instantly. If someone wants to evaluate your skill, your value, your influence, they don't ask for a long speech. They look at your history, your portfolio, your accomplishments. Every action that leads to measurable success compounds your reputation. Every project you complete, every challenge you overcome, every goal you hit creates a track record that speaks louder than any argument, explanation, or excuse ever could. And the beautiful thing is this, results have no bias. They don't care who you are, what background you come from, or what anyone thinks about your potential. Results are pure, objective, and persuasive beyond words. Let me give you a visual hook. Imagine a musician quietly practicing for years in their room. They don't boast about the songs they plan to play. They just show up every day honing their craft. And then one day they perform. The audience doesn't care about the hours of silent practice. They only care about the performance. That performance is the result, and it speaks volumes. The same principle applies to your life. You can work in silence, endure the struggle, master your craft, and perfect your skill. When the results finally arrive, they will speak for themselves, louder than any words you could have ever spoken along the way. Another hook, results attract opportunity. When you produce measurable, undeniable outcomes, doors open automatically. People want to associate with success. They want to partner with people who have proven they can deliver. Your results become your personal magnet for influence, wealth, and recognition. No one will question your ability when they see consistent, high-quality results over time. The louder your results, the stronger your influence, and the more unstoppable your momentum becomes. Remember, results are not just the end goal, they are the language of influence. They are the proof of your commitment, your discipline, and your skill. And the world cannot argue with them. You don't need to beg for attention, seek validation, or justify your journey. When your results speak, everyone listens. That is why the most powerful strategy in life is to focus on execution relentlessly, to perfect your craft, to deliver, and to allow your achievements to make the noise that words alone could never create. Time is your most valuable currency, and yet so many people treat it like it has no value at all. Let me ask you something. How many hours do you spend scrolling through social media, gossiping, or worrying about what others think, instead of investing in yourself and your future? Every second that passes is gone forever, and you can never get it back. Money can be earned, lost, and earned again, but time is non-refundable. That's why the way you spend it determines the trajectory of your life far more than any strategy, plan, or skill alone. If you truly want to succeed, you have to treat time like the priceless resource it is. You cannot waste it on distractions, on unnecessary explanations, or on applause that has not yet been earned. Every minute you spend talking about what you're going to do is a minute stolen from doing it. Here's a hook. People often confuse activity with productivity. Just because you are busy doesn't mean you are advancing. The loudest people, the ones posting their plans, making announcements, giving updates, are often the least productive. They feel important because they are visible, but their visibility has no impact on their results. Real power comes from focusing on the right actions at the right time, consistently, without distraction. Every day, every hour, every minute, you invest in deliberate action compounds. The work you do today builds momentum, builds skill, builds credibility, and builds outcomes that others cannot ignore. Time is not just a measurement. It's the building block of your future wealth, influence, and freedom. Let me give you another hook. Consider someone who is intentional with their time versus someone who is reactive. The person who plans, who prioritizes, who focuses is always steps ahead. They understand that hours spent learning, practicing, and executing are investments with returns that no one can take away. Meanwhile, the reactive person, the one who chases trends, compares themselves to others, or waits for motivation to strike, is slowly trading their time for excuses. One cannot trade time for time. Every second lost is gone forever. That's why the discipline to protect your time is the foundation of extraordinary success. Here's the truth that most people never realize. Time is the great equalizer. Everyone has the same 24 hours. And what separates the successful from the unsuccessful is how they use it. You can't earn more hours in a day, but you can decide how valuable every hour will be. Guard your schedule, guard your energy, guard your focus. Stop spending time trying to impress people or prove something before you even produce. Those moments are wasted. Instead, spend your time creating, executing, learning, and building. That is how wealth is created. That is how influence is built. That is how legacies are formed. Here's another hook to lock in your attention. When you use your time intentionally, opportunities multiply. People notice discipline. People notice results. People want to be around those who honor their own time because they know they are serious about their life, their work, and their impact. Time invested in preparation, in skill development, and in strategic action compounds. And that compounding is unstoppable. Conversely, time squandered is energy lost, momentum destroyed, and potential wasted. Every great achiever in history understood the value of time. They knew that every moment mattered, that consistent effort delivered compounded results, and that distractions were enemies of progress. They learned to focus on actions that produce results and to ignore everything else. If you want to live a life of excellence, influence, and success, you must do the same. Every minute you invest wisely is a deposit in your future. Every second you waste is an opportunity someone else is seizing. And the difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not talent, luck, or resources. It's how they respect, protect, and use the one resource that is truly irreplaceable, time. Struggle behind the scenes is not a setback. It is the foundation of your strength. So many people look at success and only see the finished product. They see the awards, the recognition, the wealth, or the influence, and they assume it came easily. They don't see the late nights, the sacrifices, the failures, the rejections, and the relentless work that happened when no one was watching. Here's a hook for you. The quieter you work, the stronger you become. Every challenge you endure, every obstacle you overcome in private is building resilience, character, and skill that cannot be replicated by those who seek applause before effort. Struggle is the crucible in which greatness is forged. And the more you embrace it privately, the more unstoppable you become publicly. Think about the seed beneath the soil. It doesn't announce its growth. It doesn't seek attention. It pushes roots deep. It absorbs nutrients. It strengthens in silence. And then one day it bursts through the surface as a towering tree. That tree did not grow overnight. Its strength came from hidden work, from struggle beneath the surface. Your life works the same way. Every trial you face, every long hour of preparation, every moment of self-discipline is adding strength to your roots. You may feel invisible, overlooked, or even discouraged at times, but these are the moments that separate ordinary people from extraordinary achievers. Here's another hook. Struggle teaches lessons that success cannot. When you are tested, when resources are limited, when obstacles seem insurmountable, you learn creativity, perseverance, and problem solving. You develop patience, humility, and focus. You discover what you are truly made of. People who have never struggled may excel for a time, but their success is often fragile because it lacks the depth that struggle provides. The stronger your foundation, the higher you can rise, and that foundation is built in the unseen, uncelebrated moments. Here's the reality. Most people quit when they hit resistance. They give up when the work is hard, when progress is slow, or when recognition is delayed. But the ones who succeed are the ones who push through quietly. They understand that struggle is not punishment, it is preparation. Every setback is a lesson. Every challenge is a stepping stone. Every failure is feedback. And when you embrace this mindset, you start to see obstacles not as threats, but as tools for growth. Another hook. Struggle behind the scenes creates confidence that cannot be faked. When you know what it takes to work tirelessly, to overcome setbacks, and to persist in silence, you gain a quiet authority. You don't need to brag because your competence, your discipline, and your results speak for themselves. People notice this kind of strength instinctively. They may not see the effort, but they feel the power, and that power opens doors that words and promises never could. Struggle also teaches you value. When you earn your achievements through sweat, sacrifice, and discipline, you understand their worth. You don't take your results for granted. You respect your time, your craft, and your journey in a way that shortcuts and instant gratification never allow. And this respect translates into higher standards, better decisions, and more impact in every area of your life. Here's a hook that will change your perspective. The noise of the world will always try to distract you, to lure you into shortcuts, or to make you seek recognition before you're ready. But the person who embraces struggle, who works quietly, who builds strength in the shadows, eventually becomes unstoppable. Their results, their influence, and their power are a natural byproduct of the work they put in when no one was watching. The struggle is not the enemy, it is the secret weapon. Let success be your statement. Too often people feel the need to explain themselves, justify their actions, or perform for the approval of others. They want everyone to notice their effort before results even exist. Here's a hook for you. Effort alone is invisible. Results are undeniable. The most powerful people in the world rarely announce their progress. They let their achievements speak. When you let success be your statement, you stop performing for recognition and start performing for impact. Every goal you hit, every skill you master, every obstacle you overcome becomes a loudspeaker for your ability, influence, and discipline. The louder your results, the quieter your explanations need to be, and that is the power of this principle. Think about the great leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators you admire. How often did they announce their plans to the world before executing them? Rarely. They worked in silence, perfected their craft, and delivered results that were impossible to ignore. That is how influence is created. That is how authority is earned. Words can be dismissed, promises can be doubted, and intentions can be ignored, but tangible success, real, measurable results, demands attention. Every achievement becomes a statement that carries credibility, respect, and power. It's not just about proving others wrong, it's about proving yourself right. Here's another hook. Success speaks a universal language. It doesn't need translation. It doesn't rely on social media likes, compliments, or applause. Results communicate competence, vision, and discipline in a way that words never can. A thriving business, a completed project, a mastered skill, or a personal transformation all shout louder than any explanation ever could. When you allow your success to speak for you, people begin to notice without you saying a single word. They respect your results because results are proof, and proof is the ultimate authority. Let me give you a visual hook. Imagine a boxer in the gym, training for years without an audience, sweating while no one watches, taking punches, and perfecting technique. End comes the fight. That boxer doesn't announce every move they've practiced. They don't talk about how hard they've worked. The fight itself, the knockout, the victory becomes the statement. That is how your life should operate. Work, prepare, perfect, and endure in silence. Let your results be the loudest thing anyone sees. This is not arrogance, it's mastery in action. Here's another truth. When you let success be your statement, you shift the energy from external validation to internal confidence. You no longer chase approval, you chase excellence. You no longer worry about recognition, you focus on mastery. That energy is magnetic. People are drawn to competence, to results, to consistency. When you consistently deliver and let the outcome speak, opportunities appear organically. Doors open not because you demanded attention, but because your achievements demonstrated that you are worthy of it. Success as a statement also protects you from unnecessary judgment and criticism. People will always talk, but when your results are undeniable, their words lose power. No one can dispute what is accomplished. When your actions and outcomes are aligned, when your results match your promises, your reputation becomes unshakable. You don't need to defend yourself. You don't need to perform for anyone. Your results do it for you. That is freedom, that is authority, that is influence. Here's a hook to remember. The quieter your work and the louder your results, the stronger your position in every area of life. Let your success shout. Let it be the statement that defines you, that proves your skill, your discipline, and your impact. Let your achievements narrate your story, because when success speaks, the world has no choice but to listen. So I challenge you today. Be the person who works while the world watches, but never knows how hard. Let your success echo louder than any words you could ever speak. The louder your achievements, the quieter your struggle. And remember, silence is not emptiness. It's power waiting to explode into victory.